Sargon is sat in a stream, and he's reading the chat, which has become overrun by the alt-right.
This is what I mean about the chat. I just can't be bothered to deal with people who treat me like this. It's really annoying. Like, you are acting like a bunch of niggers. You are just acting like chimps. It's mental. You don't have any standards whatsoever. And, okay, but I'm afraid I do, so...
Those Sargonic high standards include lying about being a quadroon in order to stop the SJWs from calling him a racist. Anyway, I know that Sargon wants to separate himself from the race realists and the ethno-nationalists, but his behaviour here, throwing the N-word about like it's confetti, likening those that have slighted him or have had a negative effect on his life to black people, well, it doesn't really have that distancing effect he wants to achieve. The normie layman on the street will not be able to identify Sargon as different from the alt-right based on his shenanigans on show here.
You act like white niggers. Exactly how you describe black people acting is the impression I get dealing with the alt-right. I'm just not in the mood to deal with this kind of disrespect. And I know it sounds like, oh my god, he's demanding respect, but yeah, to be honest with you...
Demanding respect, the stepfather meme has consumed Sargon by this point, and you know why he demands respect? Because he thinks that you owe him a great debt. Sargon, for many, was an entry-level red pill back in the day. His criticisms of Gamergate and Anita Sarkeesian managed to get people who played video games questioning narratives, becoming more politically engaged than they otherwise would have been. And now, all these years later, those same people have grown. Their political viewpoints have evolved. Their beliefs no longer orbit around their Xboxes, but instead around their racial identity, and there's Sargon, still doing his This Week in Feminist Stupidity shtick, and it all feels rather stale.
Is it possible to get feminists classified as a separate subspecies?
Why didn't he move along with his audience, and why didn't he mature with them? Instead, he kicks and screams and demands your respect, because without him, you'd never have gotten on the path of the red pill.
And it's like, the internet is bullying me. I'm not saying you're bullying me. I'm saying there's just no point dealing with this kind of attitude. Is it? I know it's called trolling, but it's not like something I need to deal with if I don't want to have to deal with it.
Sargon's early Gamergate audience have all but migrated over to the alt-right by this point, and now they look upon him with pity. Time and time again, the offer is there for Sargon to repent and for all to be forgiven. If he just ditches his obnoxious big-brained liberalistism, all his woes could disappear, but his hubris, his pride, his stubbornness won't admit that he is in the wrong.
Jesus Christ, it's just like, you understand I'm a person, don't you? I'm a person, holy fuck. This is what I mean, like, I'm being treated like I'm not a person.
Sargon is currently in a position where he's the leader of the liberalist LARP, which he established on a whim, but which his pride won't allow him to quietly drop and move on from. And now he's not only feeling pressure from the alt-right, but liberalists who want to push him into confrontations with the alt-right also.
Look, you carry on, but don't expect me to then have a debate with one of your faggots. Why would I bother? Like, why would I bother?
The insistence on pushing Sargon into a rematch with Richard Spencer stems from a very autistic part of the alt-right that wants Sargon to be available constantly for protracted debates about ethno-nationalism. And when he does this, it's a slog of hours and hours of circular discussion that doesn't go anywhere. So he ends up making these exasperated comments that don't really sit well with people.
You act like an F-class title now. Maybe you're just acting like a nigger, mate. Have you considered that? Do you think white people act like this? White people are meant to be polite and respectful to one another, and you guys can't even act like white people. It's really, like, amazing to me. It's genuinely amazing to me.
Sargon is the man who cannot stop digging his own grave. He's had so many opportunities to stop this snowballing effect, but instead he just keeps rolling and rolling like a crazy man.
Just the alt-right in general. I just don't really care. They don't care that the SJWs are ruining everything. They don't care. I mean, do they spend any time criticizing the SJWs?
This just shows Sargon's complete ignorance to the alt-right's arguments. A willful ignorance. He is of course aware that the alt-right takes issue with SJWs that seek to restrict the rights of white people, but the reason he's feigning unawareness is because he wants to point and go, aha! The alt-right doesn't go after the SJWs because they're exactly the same. Big-brained horseshoe theory at work here.
Sargon has become the male version of Anise Sarkeesian now. Have I really? I mean, I'm literally reading what you say and talking to you about it, and all you can do is insult me and say I'm like someone who would never do that. What's the point in trying?
The break in Sargon's voice here just... The break in Sargon's voice is heart-rendering. He's cornered, he's vulnerable. And so he goes into a full, I'm a person! You're harassing me! mode. Which is exactly what Anita Sarkeesian used to do. She ignored actual smart people capable of challenging her, as Sargon does with someone like JF, and instead acted like some nasty comments were indicative of the entire opposition, then refused to engage, acting self-righteous. The real horseshoe here isn't the alt-right and the SJWs at either end. It's Sargon at one end and Anita on the other. He just needs to stop puffing out his chest and just be a guest on The Daily Show, shoot the shit with Enoch and bury the bloody hatchet. Sargon, you are not well, and you are causing other people to be not well.
Sargon's scared of white nationalists. White nationalists hurt Sargon.